Are we live? Hoopla, we are live, but what is going on there? Okay. I think we need to restart that camera. Okay, let's restart the camera. Streaming to you through ManyCam, obviously, because I have some super interesting things to show you, which I'm going to pop up on the screen through ManyCam, which is going to be really good. So if you're here, hello, I am coming. Here I am. There I am. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this live stream. So nice picture of San Francisco in the background. Seeing as we can't go anywhere, I thought we would take a trip to the USA. So today I've decided to pop on YouTube, which is quite unlike me. Normally I'm on Facebook or Instagram, and to talk to you about the two main things really you need to re-educate yourself in if you want to go freelance. So the first thing is just to get rid of the fear, and the second one is panic. Now, I know that might sound a little bit weird to some people, but to others it's not. And I can tell you why I know that, because I have been running the Teacherpreneur Programme for a good couple of years now. And the biggest thing that holds online tutors, especially platform tutors, from going freelance is firstly fear. Will they be able to do it? Will they get clients? Will they be able to match their income? And then there's this worry of what they already know. And the second thing is panic, because once you decide to actually start doing something other than what you're doing, start earning money in a different way, without maybe working for a platform or working probably not in a school right now because most schools are closed, there is this panic of which can give people almost like an anxiety. And I'm going to tell you how I got started in online education, because it was quite tragic actually how I got started, and I think that might help a lot of you kind of get over this I really don't know if I can do that, and then also get away from this perfectionist syndrome. Everybody thinks everything needs to be perfect before they start. Right, well, how I actually got started in online education was incredibly tragic. And if you're on my email list or the DigiTeach Online Learning email list, I've recently kind of revealed this, which I haven't really ever wanted to do. But I just thought maybe, because it's so personal, but I thought maybe actually this would be a good thing to reveal because it's actually quite helpful. So I was teaching in schools for a number of years with my own teaching company. So I would provide lots of academy trusts and schools with extracurricular classes, mostly in modern foreign languages, and then also with ESL. And but I was only actually teaching 1 to 2 hours a day, but I was being paid quite a lot by the hour. So I only really needed to teach 1 hour. I could earn in 1 hour what most teachers would earn teaching mainstream school, teaching all day, basically. So that was one of the reasons. And the second reason was because I was building up my business. I didn't want to be constantly teaching hour after hour. And I have come from the background where I've stood for hours and hours in a classroom and the playground and the teacher meetings and all the politics and all the stuff that goes with it. And you just end up working 10 hours a day. It's crazy. And I didn't want to do that with my own business. I went into my own business because I have other pursuits, other projects I like to do, and other businesses as well. And I wanted to have free time to be able to do that and also to enjoy my family. However, that's the good part of the story. The bad part is I had moved into this wonderful brand new house, which was kind of like my mini dream house. And sadly, within a year and a half, I actually had nightmare neighbours. And I mean real nightmare neighbours. I think bandits would be a better word, who moved in across the road from me. a long story short, they lived a lifestyle where they didn't really believe in education. And no, I did not live on a kibbutz or a hippie camp or something like that. This is like in suburbia, yeah. I don't even know how these people got this house anyway, but they did. Long story short, they kind of did not like teachers because it stood for a whole way of life which they kind of were rebelling and were revolted by, oddly enough, education. So they kind of made me a bit of a target and my family. I'll tell you how bad it got. We had the windows in our house shot out twice and all my car windows. Threats were made on my life. Threats were made actually on my son's life. And that is eventually how these people got prosecuted, because they did actually try to run my son off the road. Pretty tragic, pretty tragic. So, yeah. So after that period, I kind of retracted a little bit from a lot of people, because I was thinking, wow, people are kind of crazy, people are kind of crazy. And the worrying thing for me was that I actually had to live this for 2 years before these people were brought to justice. It's a long time. 2 years living in a situation like that is a very long time. So I decided to find a way of limiting to kind of basically go out of my front door. We had to have cameras inside the house, cameras outside the house. If I went to my car, I had to have a camera on me for my own. It was really serious. So I was like, I'm still going to teach, but I just want to limit, this situation. So I started looking into teaching online. So I started working with ESL platforms in China. Now, when I first started, I thought this was just the best thing ever. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I can sit in my lounge or in my office and teach and actually get paid for it. I was like, this is great. However, I started to learn pretty much after I had done about 3 companies, and I had to do 3 companies because I did not have enough hours in the day to make ends meet. I had a family to support and a house to run. So I couldn't just work 3 hours a day working for an ESL platform. I was not getting anything like by the hour what I was working for previously in schools with my company. So I decided, okay, I'm going to have to take on some more companies. But what I was finding was that even though I had lots of experience, even though I had lots of qualifications, I wasn't getting paid anymore for it. And in actual fact, with the history of how things turned out, I just realized I was actually working more for less. I was getting up at stupid o'clock in the morning to kind of get one end of the Chinese timeline. And then I was working in the UK. It was the middle of my day, so I didn't mind doing that. But then some days I would have bookings, some days I didn't have bookings. This was actually making me feel quite anxious, because I was like, am I going to be able to pay my rent? Am I going to be able to buy this? Am I going to be able to pay that? And it was actually making me feel quite agitated. And a long story short, the pandemic started to happen in China. But I had been experiencing, and I'm going to put this up on the screen, what a lot of you have probably been experiencing is this. Okay, I don't know if you can see this. So basically what this is a screenshot of one of the companies that I used to work for. I'll just put myself on the right side. And all down here, get my little pen, all down here, this is, all down here, can you see this? This is a rating column. And as you can see, it all says no rating. Now I was paid, I had a set rate, like most ESL platforms, they pay a set rate of pay. And my bonus would only be given to me if I had a rating. So obviously no rating there. And if I maintained like 9.5 or 9.6 percentage of performance rate. This is considered a performance rate. But as you can see, if nobody rates, it pushes down, which is what these arrows here are representing. It actually pushes down your overall percentage, your overall performance percentage. So I was finding myself with like a really low percentage because I had ratings. And what I've realized now, actually having my own business and my own websites and my own tutoring business, is that it's pretty easy to control that. When somebody rates you for something, it's like a review. If you've got your own website, you can choose whether you want to publish that or not. So whether those ratings are really legit, so to speak, or not, I just do not know. Anyway, I was feeling like pretty depressed with this. I was like, I'm working quite hard. I'm not getting any ratings. It's affecting my performance. It's affecting my bonus. And every kind of company seemed to have these like tripwires. They either had a rating system or they had like these fixed hours. You had to block fixed hours. And you can't really do many blocking when there's only 3 hours in the day, apart from the weekend. And I didn't want to work all weekend, all day, because I've got children. So I was like, oh, this is whatever. I can't be doing with this. So I just did something really random. And this was the real snowball of my success of my tutoring company. I took my phone. That's it, my phone, pretty dirty phone. I took my phone one day and I just did a live on a Facebook page, which I'd started. I started a business Facebook page for online English tutoring. And I did this because I was generally so hacked off with this kind of vibe, with this always trying and not getting anywhere. It was like really quite oppressive situation. And I just thought, I have degrees, I have my TEFL, I know what I'm doing. This is absolutely absurd. This is like I just felt victimized. I felt victimized by a system. It was crazy. And I took my phone and I just started doing lives, finding out what people wanted to learn, what type of market there was, what they needed help with. Was it grammar? Was it business English? Was it medical English? What were they finding difficult with their learning? Was it the vocabulary? Was it the pronunciation? Literally just doing lives. And when I was doing lives, I would open myself up to questions and answers. Long story short, I did this about a month. I think that was in November. It was when the pandemic just started in China. So this was November 2020, I guess, or 2019. I did it a little bit over Christmas as well, because things were getting a bit weird in lots of countries, and lots of countries had started going into lockdown. England hadn't then. I live in the UK. And I did a couple of posts over Christmas, couple of lives, and these posts kind of more or less went viral. I mean, 2 of these videos have had hundreds of thousands of views on now. And I actually, for me, wasn't doing anything like amazing. I was just teaching and actually doing what all of these Chinese students and their parents and their clients would never rate for. I was getting a mega reaction on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, and now on YouTube. I was getting loads of likes, loads of shares. The organic rate was just incredible. In fact, this page is doing so well now that it's actually been monetized by Facebook. And to match my organic rate that I actually reach people, I would have to spend a huge amount on ad spend. So basically, for me, I'm doing very, very well with my own online tutoring business. All of that is built on my marketing, my content marketing, and actually how I interact with people. And this is one of the biggest issues with Chinese ESL platforms. Obviously, they don't want tutors to have like a connection with the clients. That I get, okay, because they want to be able to control the clients. But the ratings and all the rest of it is just super, really, really, really oppressive. And since the pandemic, China as an economy has actually grown economically. At the start of the pandemic, okay, they shut down all of February, but as an economy, they're coming out of the pandemic really strong, especially compared to other countries. But what's happened is because all of these countries have shut down, that's pushed up the demand of application for online teachers. So the ESL platforms have gone, oh, wow, instead of like 10,000 people applying for online positions, we've got 100,000. So they've decreased the rate of pay. Now, lots of online tutors and teachers have lost their job. They had their contracts literally axed. I was one of these people actually at the time who received that fatal email saying your ratings aren't good enough, even though I had no ratings. So we're not good. We're going to take away your contract, basically. And I was like, oh my gosh. But this, and this goes back to the start of my life, this is what pushed me with my own online tutoring business. I was doing okay. I was having lots of interaction. People were saying, yeah, we love this. We really want to book classes and all the rest of it. But I come to the point where I was thinking, oh my gosh, I feel like a bit of a fraud, because all I had was a Facebook page. I had no website. I had no funnel, no lead magnet. I had no email system. I had my own curriculum now. I had none of that. And I was constantly getting emailed. And I've actually put in my group, I've actually put screenshots of some of my emails, like 200 and 300 emails a day, asking me for online lessons. I was contacted by schools in other countries. Can you teach like our entire school? Or can you organize teachers for our entire school? And all of that was only possible because I just took my phone one day and went, actually, do you know what? I'm going to take action. I'm not happy in the situation I'm in, and I'm going to do something about it. And to be honest with you, it's for my mental state of mind as well, because I was just getting so depressed with this situation with the ESL platforms. And I'm really pleased I've done that, because like a couple of years now down the line, it's still the same situation. In fact, teachers today are working for less for these platforms than what they were 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Really? The history of economics, it should go the other way. You know, the more experience people have, the more qualified they are, the bigger a company grows, then the more rewards the employee should be reaping. And that certainly is not the case in most ESL companies. It really, really isn't. So yeah, basically fear and panic. Fear, panic, and ratings are the three things that you have to kind of detach away from when you want to start freelancing. You have to kind of really realize that actually the only way you're going to change your situation is by kind of stepping out there and doing something. The second thing you have to do is you have to take action. You have to learn how to do the things you need to do to create an online business. Now, just being an online teacher or just having a degree or a TEFL is not enough, especially now. The online ESL industry is hugely competitive. You've only got to go into a couple of Facebook groups for ESL teachers, and I really don't like a lot of ESL groups because it's like cutthroat. Some of the comments sometimes towards each other are just is awful, and I think it's a shame actually that people have now become really reduced to this type of behaviour. It's kind of a little bit pretty much like what's happening in America with their politics is like crazy, you know. People are just like attacking each other. It's awful. It's really sad, and it concerns me, especially when we're in the framework of education. You know, people should be setting an example. So that's really how I got started in the online education industry for myself. So I kind of migrated from my own academy, like a teaching company that I had anyway, and that's all has all been brought online anyway because of the pandemic. But what I did do is I found a really good way of creating my own online English tutoring business. And one of the things that I've had, well, a lot of the feedback I've had from a lot of my students are they just like me because I'm really real. Now, you might think, what do you mean by that? Well, one of my education businesses, I've got 4 now, but one of my education businesses, I actually tried to employ other ESL teachers to work for me. And one of the reasons why I stopped and I just switched the structure, the business structure of that company, was because it was near on impossible to find ESL teachers that could just teach, basically. I had applications from people who would record themselves saying to me, "What do you want? Just tell me, what do you want?" Bit concerning. And then I had the other end of the stick. I had people turning up with a red polo shirt from that company. We all know which one it is. And they're like, "Hi, my name's John. I'm in it." And it's just so false. It's just so false. And when people are paying you privately for lessons, they don't want that. They want you to be a real person because they want to be able to relate to you. And most importantly, they want to be able to learn English that is relatable and usable. Now, I've worked for a number of different ESL companies, and I've actually, I was going to be writing a curriculum for 2 of them, but the rate of pay was just pathetic. I said, there's no way I'm going to write lesson plans for that. It's just not going to happen. But if you are an ESL teacher and you've been teaching for these companies, you will know how the majority of them use lesson plans that are ridiculous. They are so out of date and they are so basic. They are beyond basic, a lot of them. They're just old-fashioned, and a lot of them use a real prescriptive type of English that actually, in the real English world today, we don't use. I mean, kids it's a little bit different, but I teach adults now. And that was the other thing as well, really, why I wanted my own online teaching company, was I got fed up of singing the alphabet song, or fed up of just constantly teaching phonics in triple slow motion, not because the student had a low capability set, but because these companies are designed to create the lessons which are drawn out for as long as possible so that they can make the student go through as many lessons as possible on each level before they can take them up to the next level. And the reason for that is all business. It's economics. It's because that means each student has a much longer shelf life to them, and therefore has a higher value, price label on them, basically. So again, you have to kind of look at what you want to do. I didn't want to teach like that anymore. I was so fed up with it, and Personally, I don't really, professionally, I just don't think that that's perhaps the best way to learn because it's just too slow. So I created my tutoring business with my own curriculum. I obviously assess people when they come into it, and then they go in at the level that is right for them. And if they want more specialist lessons, they pay a higher rate and they get more specialist lessons that are specifically written to them, or they just carry on doing what I've already prepared. And that just seems to be working absolutely fine. And the other fear factor I've had from teachers when they want to go freelance and they come into my program, which is a Teacherpreneur Evolution program, is, oh my gosh, what do I do for lessons? Now, I find this really quite staggering because the majority of ESL teachers that have taught for these platforms, you have to think on your head. You have to quite often you're landed with a lesson plan that's pretty much pants. It's really like low level content, and you're having to think on your head or prep like an hour before of stuff that you need to write and create, or a PowerPoint you have to quickly whip up to be able to fill it out, because it's just so small. Now, if you take that energy there and you combine that with the average 300 to 900 words a minute, which is what most ESL platforms want you to do for a report for every single student, then a lesson plan is not going to take you long to create and write if you compare it to that. And when you have your own online tutoring business, you can literally just slot that lesson plan, once you've written it, into your own curriculum. So that time isn't wasted like it would be for an ESL platform, because what do you think they do? They record all of the lessons. The ones that are doing very well, they look at what's been written, and then they just basically, I wouldn't say copy it, but they're going to use the best content for themselves. Now, why would you be giving that away for free when you can actually be using it for yourself? And the other element as well is branding when you have your own online tutoring business. Like I said, my tutoring business is monetized now by Facebook. So what does that mean? That means every time I do a live now, I get paid for that. On my page, I actually get paid for people watching my lives on my business Facebook page. Not this, obviously, not DigiTeach, but my actual business, my English tutoring school. Every time I write a blog that I'm paid for, not by Google Ads, but by Facebook's monetization process, which is instant articles, it's great. I'm actually recognized, or my business is actually recognized as a brand. So I'm actually paid to do collabs with other educational companies, businesses, products, books, lessons, platforms, big platforms that are teaching, zillions and trillions of students, all sorts of things, all sorts of languages. So once you step out of this kind of rat race, this kind of hamster wheel that you've clung to for so long, or you're clinging to because you think it's the only way, and you realize actually what is open to you right now as an online teacher, I think you're just going to be falling over yourself to run to that finish line and go, wow, I really want to do this, because I know I have done. And once you build your own brand, which isn't that difficult to do, I've done this in a year. Once you've built your own brand and you've taken it to a certain level, companies like Facebook, it's kind of like, if you can remember back to like the 1980s, if you're that old, you play a video game, you do something, and once you collect so many gems or whatever, it unlocks a door and you go up to the next level, and then on that level you get extra weapons or extra superpowers or what have you. With these platforms, it's the same thing. Once you get to a certain level, if you have a business, you created a business and you create a brand, it gets to that level where they offer you other things that perhaps normal everyday users of Facebook, for example, have, because they're not a business, or they're not a brand, or they haven't reached a certain level. So all of these platforms, they want you to do well. They want your business to do well, and they want you to do well. And most importantly, they want to encourage as many people who are interested in whatever it is that you're teaching to enjoy your content and to consume it, which is the complete opposite of the mentality in an ESL platform. It's the complete opposite, So I don't actually understand why more online tutors just are not taking the leap and really building a business. So if you're at the stage and you're thinking, okay, well, how do I start? Well, I have a little, some free training, and I'm going to put it up here. And I've actually named my lead page, Free Training Reveals. How to stop teaching for $14 an hour if you're lucky, and you're getting that, of course, because I know a lot of ESL teachers who are getting a lot less than that right now in 2021 by doing this one thing that most freelance tutors fail to do. Then click below. So all you do is you put your details in there, and I email the training exactly to you. Now, the reason why I've done this, and I'm sharing this with you, is because I have seen a lot of marketing. It seemed after about 3 months after the world in general went into like global shutdown with the pandemic, you suddenly saw kind of crawling out of the woodwork all of these spammy marketers who've never taught a lesson in their life, as in a language lesson, have never worked for any of these companies in this, or done anything like that in that capacity, suddenly become devout experts and saying you can start a language school doing this. And the typical thing that I'm seeing at the moment is that this seems to be the standard spammy marketers approach. Become a freelance teacher, create a really expensive, high-ticket curriculum with lessons, and then sell it for a really high price, charging at least $100 an hour to people like doctors and dentists, and have a successful online business. Well, I'm going to tell you a few things about this. I'm going to enlighten you. Firstly, those people, those marketers are marketers. And the only reason they're telling you to do that is because they want you to buy into a really expensive software. I'm not going to mention any names, that will probably set you back about £360 a month to run. And for every month that you're using that software, those marketers are picking up a $100 affiliate commission for every single month that you use that. So that is the reason that they have built that framework. Secondly, lots of doctors and dentists and lawyers, if they're paying $100 an hour, they want you to teach them on their timeline. Now, if you're wanting to teach online to people all around the world, if you're teaching someone in Singapore here and someone in London here and someone in Africa here, you're going to have the same problem that you had or have with ESL companies, which is you've opened yourself up to have lots of slots to work, to teach, but you've only got a lesson here or you've only got a lesson there, but you've got to have these slots open because, that company says you've got to have 10 hours a week or something, or 12 hours a week, whatever it is. And it's the same with teaching one-to-one. If you create a business like that, all you're doing is basically exchanging being blocked like you were with the ESL company, sitting behind a computer kind of 4 or 5 hours a day, to doing the same thing for yourself. But are you going to get that many clients? That's the other thing, because I know from creating my business, there really aren't that many customers or students or clients that will pay you £100 an hour, especially now, because there are so many ESL tutors wanting to teach online who would have been teaching in language schools in Spain or would have been teaching in language schools in London or in France, and they've had to take all of their business online. So what do you think is going to happen when the pandemic actually finally hopefully finishes? Do you think all of these tutors and all of these teachers who have spent all this time and money investing in creating their own websites and lead pages and curriculums and online classrooms, do you think they're going to want to exchange all of that in a year's time or 2 years' time to go back to what they were doing? I don't think so. And I also think the reason why that's not going to happen is because the need isn't going to be there. What we've learned through this pandemic is that we can do an awful lot online. I mean, China is strong with that. They have taught a lot of countries and a lot of teachers the possibility of doing things online. I know in the UK, the schools are just appalling when it comes to online teaching. Quite honestly, I think they fail at it. I can say that because I'm a parent to 2 kids, and I've seen what UK schools are providing for online teaching, and it's nothing like what I do, and it's nothing like what a lot of ESL teachers do. So that is a serious skill set, that in itself, and teaching online and teaching successfully online is totally different to teaching in a classroom. Now, once you take that as a skill set and you mix that with all the other things that you need to learn with when you go freelance and you've got your own online tutoring company, how you create, a really nice curriculum, how you create really good, interesting content. And nobody wants to sit there and read a PDF English lesson, which you pretty much copied and pasted out of a grammar book, People expect a lot more than that. So once you've done all of that, you can actually really start marketing yourself and marketing your business and, really getting yourself the customers that you want. And the other aspect, going back to these kind of spammy marketers as well, is that I think really when you advertise yourself and your services as being high ticket and you only teach this or that, like you only teach medical English or you only teach legal English, I just think this is pompous nonsense, to be perfectly honest. When you go to a maths tutor, okay, you might want a maths tutor for a GCSE English or A levels, or to get you through your maths exam, or maybe you're learning quantum physics and you need a bit of help with some expert maths. That's very different. But when you're learning English, you don't go, oh, I only teach medical English. Oh, I only teach legal English. And I'll tell you why. Because the people that come to me, the people that ask me for lessons, and by the way, when I say ask, my DMs are constantly filled up. My email box is constantly filled up, which is why I've created like a monster of a system where it's all automated, because otherwise I'd just be spending about 4 hours a day answering emails and booking people in, which is not what I want to do with my day. So I've created a system which is the same system in the Teacherpreneur Evolution Programme that I literally just give tutors. I go, this is what I do, this is how it works, here's all the training to do it all, but if you don't want to sit there and learn how to do it, here's actually like the template, and you just put your name on it and plug it in to your computer and your website and you're good to go. Okay, so I've done all of that, and other tutors that I have taught and coached, really, in a sense, they're using that, and that's really, really helpful. But going back to the students, or the clients as I like to call them, because that's the other thing, you need to break away from this like student that's very like Asian, and it's very kind of, oh, I work in a school. When you work for yourself, like, you're not working for someone else, you're working in your business. So these people are your clients. Don't use students. And adults hate being called students. Adult learners hate it. They like to be called clients, or Bob or Mr. what have you. They don't want to be called students. A professional banker wanting to learn, good English for the boardroom does not want to be called a student. Trust me. It's not going to help you. So that's another kind of mindset that you need to get away from when you're teaching freelance. But anyway, going back to the main part, I've kind of slightly gone off track there, is when they come to me, quite often they'll say something like, oh, I really want help with this. Can you help me with passing an IELTS exam? I want to get band like level 7 or band 8 or what have you. And you go, okay, yeah, that's fine. So you help them with that. But then they say, oh, I've got this job, I've applied, or I'm on this course now, and I really need help with that. Can you help me with that? And you go, yeah, okay, that's fine. And then they say, I'm going on holiday here, or I've met this girlfriend or boyfriend, and I really want to learn how to communicate with them a bit better, because I'm just feeling a bit, asking a girl out, and, can you help me with that? Yeah, sure. Now, immediately you've gone from like widening your shelf life, if you like, of your service, from being like these like spammy little marketers on Facebook that go, oh yeah, get a high ticket course and like niche English. It's BS. It's rubbish. Because if you do that, you can only sell a tiny little program for 12 weeks, 3 months, 12 weeks. But if you don't do that, and you just teach English as it is, as English, then you are going to widen your client's shelf life and like your income. You're going to multiply it. And I can tell you that from experience, because in my foreign language company, I have students that I've been teaching now for 8 years. They came to me in infant school. Then they went up to junior school. Now they're going to secondary school, and I'm already pre-booked by their parents to help them with university entrance exams. And that's not even for French. That's for English and other things. So what I'm saying to you is, like, this spammy Facebook marketing thing about positioning yourself and niching in English is rubbish. And I think it's rubbish. This is my opinion. And this is based on what I've done. And I think if you want a business that's going to stand the test of time, and I already have one business that stood the test of time in the pandemic, and I've pivoted it very well, and you do the same type of thing that I've already done, and have even more successfully in some ways done with my English one, because my other company is not monetized by Facebook, but this English one is, then I think you're going to see the sense of what I'm saying. And at the end of the day, it also depends, why do you go into, why are you wanting to go into freelance teaching? Are you going into freelance teaching because you want to say, I've got my own teaching business and I only do high ticket clients, where secretly you're working for $10 an hour for an ESL company? And you're kind of fooled by the social media fake persona of leaning up against a Porsche because you think that's like success, even though it's probably photoshopped. Or are you going into freelance teaching because you really want your own online tutoring business, because you actually really want to be able to forecast 3 months, 6 months, probably not more than that at the moment because of the pandemic, down the line, and see how much income you have or you're going to have in that time period, and what other things can you do? And I'm going to give you an idea. I earn money from, obviously, brand collabs now. I earn money from monetization. I earn money from writing. Writing my blogs, writing educational blogs, also writing for teachers. I earn money from writing actual books that students buy, so that adults buy, that children buy. I earn money doing that. I earn money from a subscription service, so they can come into my business, and until they get to know me a little bit more, they can pay like $9.99 a month, and they can do self-study. Like, you might think, oh, well, that's not very much, but it is if you've got a big volume of students. And actually, once you top that up with all the other different streams of income coming in, you've instantly got quite a bit more money from actually doing the one thing that all spammy Facebook marketers are telling you not to do. And I think if you're an English teacher, you're already an expert at what you do. And I think because the English language is vast, and to be a teacher of that is a specialist kind of situation in itself. When you niche yourself down and say, oh, I only teach lawyers or I only teach architects, I think that's a massive advertisement to most of the people who are going past your content on social media or your website. And you're basically saying to them, I only teach rich people. That's like not going to help you when you're starting. If you are a professor and you've worked at Oxford University or somewhere highly prestigious like that, and you've got a lot of qualifications and you've written and contributed to the educational world in a serious way, in a professional way, I can see the relevance of marketing your tutoring services as being so high ticket and so high niche, because let's face it, you've already made your proof to the world that you can do what you're doing. You've already done the years of standing in classrooms and all the rest of it. I think once someone's got to that level, they deserve the right to say, actually, my time is kind of my own, as it is all of us. But I have done all of that. So now I only really, really teach high ticket. There, I get that. But when you're just like an ESL teacher who has kind of just done a few years teaching somewhere, and you've got a degree, to suddenly come out and go, oh, well, I'm only teaching high ticket people, I really think is not the best business advice. I think when you start out freelancing, you need to be warm, you need to be welcoming. People need to know and trust you. They're not going to even get to know you if you're sticking this high price ticket in their way. And you'll be really surprised as well. I actually had a message 2 days ago now from someone who had seen my content somewhere, come along to a couple of my lives, and then basically said to me, how much would you charge me for your program? And I haven't even advertised my business as a program. I just advertised teaching English. And obviously I got back to him and said, well, this is what I charge. And he said, okay, well, you know what he actually said to me? I'm actually paying $10 an hour for a teacher, but I really like your way of teaching and I love your accent and I like the way you pronounce words. So I'm going to cancel with him and I'm going to move over with you. So there you go. So there's the proof of the pudding. And if I hadn't have put myself out there originally with my phone and gone, do you know what? I'm going to jump off of this rat race. I'm not going to be fearful anymore. And I'm not going to be filled with panic. Then I wouldn't have been in this situation. True to say, I did come from an awful situation. I mean, living for 2 years, in the situation that I was in with my children was no dream. It was really hard. There were very hard days. It wasn't easy, but that's kind of quite a drastic example. Although it's a true example, it's a very drastic example. So what is it going to take for you if you're in the situation right now where you're not earning much money, you don't even have a proper contract, because we all know with ESL companies the contracts are well, you know what they're like. You don't get any sick pay, you don't get any maternity pay, you don't get any holiday leave. You're not going to get furloughed, are you? Let's be honest. So what risks are you taking? That's my dog. Jenny, come here. Live streaming. Anyway, I am going to go because my dog is telling me there's somebody at the door and he's not going to shut up. I'm going to leave a little link before. Oh, Debs, hello. I've just seen all the comments. Hi, Debs. Hello, darling. Yes, I'm going to leave a little link somewhere below, and that's basically so that I can send you some free training and give you some more information about what I do, and also invite you along to my Facebook group, which is full of people who want to start online educational businesses. So we've got people there from all walks of life. They're not all ESL teachers, but they are all really wanting to carve out their pathway. It's my teenage son coming in. I'm doing a live. Oh, that's like shh. Carve out their pathway in their own business. This isn't as drastic as the other day when I was actually doing an online live English class seminar the other day. You certainly heard this. In the background, and someone's like, what's going on? It was a live stream, so, and obviously I had to explain that it was my children. They aren't dead yet, but they might have been murdered after that. Just kidding, obviously. But you just got to be yourself, everybody. You've got to be real. Debs, that's so sweet. I'm going to message you after, Debbie. But yeah, I'm going to leave a little link. Otherwise, I fear I might be rambling too much and everybody's going to be like, oh, not more. But there you go. Have a wonderful Sunday, everybody. And speak to you all soon. Let me leave this link here. Here we go. And I will put it in underneath some info in the main box. It takes a while with YouTube after you've done a live stream for it to kind of all just work itself out and stick itself firm on the panel. But once it's there, it's there. Have a great evening, everybody. Goodbye.